Hello and welcome to This is the Day Show. I'm your host, RJ Cole.
And I'm Fred Graham.
Thank you once again for taking the time to listen. Our podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also on iHeartRadio. Our video is now up on Rumble and on YouTube.
Yay!
All you have to do is search for This is the Day Show. So, we ask that you hit the follow button and you write us a wonderful 5-star review. We thank you for any word of mouth that you guys continue to give our show. And we do have a few ways for you to interact with us. You can email our show at thisisthedayshow@gmail.com. We can also be found on X and on Facebook. Our X account can be found by searching for at This Is The Day Show without the W. And on Facebook, you can search for This Is The Day Show. We also have an option to text our show. The way you do this is by going to the platform that you listen to us on, then select the episode that you're about to listen to, and lastly, look on the top left of the episode and it will say send us a text. Click on that to be directed to your texting app. Feel free to send us any questions, feedback, or interest that you may have, and on to the show.
If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and click that notification bell.
Thank you, sir.
On to the show.
And feel free to comment if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Okay, so how was your week, Mr. Fred?
The week was pretty good. The weather started out nice. It was a really nice week. Almost forgot we were in February. Took off the old beard. And just in time for the snow. It was pretty exciting. So I was actually really shocked with how much we got. And on the way here to do the show, heard that there was like 72 cars that ended up in the ditch or accidents from the weather. So it was kind of nice because they shut down the site that I'm on yesterday, which is nice because I was able to spend time at home. But it's not nice because, I work not for fun. So, but yeah, week's been good all around. We did a campfire. Talked about maybe planting our garden, and definitely realized, wait, it's still Iowa, so we're going to have at least 2 more days of really cold. And now they're talking till Tuesday. So
Yeah, winter rearing its head for at least I think the last time probably.
Hopefully. But I got used to that 60s and 50s. Like that was nice. But yeah, I give the week probably an 8 out of 10. So
that's a pretty good week.
Yeah, it was a pretty good week. Yeah. So how was your week?
Pretty good. I enjoyed that 60-degree weather myself. Went out and did some runs in the morning for a couple days. Then I was just grumpy yesterday because all that snow just out of nowhere, and we had to work. So it's one of those things where you need the money, you need to work, but then it's also you got to drive in how many ever inches of snow, and 2-lane highways weren't really plowed all that well. You're driving on ice, and then you have Mr. Jerk Semi going 65 right next to you as you're trying to keep it slow so you don't fishtail, peel out.
It's amazing how there's always 2 different types of drivers.
Yeah.
And it's more evident in the semi world. But I will say typically the guys that are kind of jerk drivers are the older semi guys that you're like, the dudes just had too much. Like, too many dumb people. Yeah, my kids were outside playing, and we live on a small street, which they plowed after, got all compacted, and doesn't even look like they plowed. But this lady's like cruising on her street, just texting on her phone, and I'm like, dude, my kids are out here. Like, it's also poor conditions. I don't know, I'm getting old, man, because it bugged me.
No. Yeah, because all it takes is for her to turn her steering wheel and she's in your front yard or
or just lose
hitting
control.
a telephone pole or a car. Yeah.
Or my kid, whatever.
Yeah, that too.
So
the Olympics were still on. I've been enjoying the Olympics. like I said last week, I'm a little kid. I love them. Saw some dude eat it, and he's okay, but man, he fell from like, it's got to be like 15 feet, just right on the corner of that half pipe, and it's just, you get old, and then you realize,
dude, getting old changes everything. Like, I don't watch football the same. Like, even my wife will sit with us and watch a football, and I'm just like, ooh, like, and the kid's like 20 years old, so he's fine now, but like, yeah, I don't know. My kids think I'm funny because I'm just like, oh man, that hurts so bad, and then they're just like, oh, but he's fine, Dad, and I'm like, yeah, that'll catch up
for now.
Yeah,
for now he's fine.
It'll come back.
Yeah, so there's some stuff in the politics world. Wasn't necessarily great, but
local. Did you hear about the kid that's the president of ISU? They got impeached because he like contributed to Turning Point,
and then they took it back yesterday.
Yeah, they but that's
probably
crazy.
For some blowback.
Like,
yeah. Yep. Up at ISU, go Cyclones.
Hey, their basketball team's really good.
So, but yeah, I did hear about that locally.
That's pretty crazy.
Pretty sad. Okay, since we've talked about a week, if you want, let's just jump into our main topic today.
Yeah, dude.
We got a lot to cover.
A lot.
Okay, so obviously last week we jumped into the Declaration of Independence. We jumped into the first part. So this week we're going to try to cover the rest. So it's going to be the grievances and then the ending to it all.
Right. Which hopefully we can get it all.
If not,
we'll pick it up next week.
Right. So let's start by sharing off some facts. First fact I have is American loyalists rejected the Declaration of Independence. Loyalists were American colonists who remained loyal to the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King during the American Revolutionary War. Those who supported the American Revolution and the Declaration of Independence were called Patriots. And then here I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit because, in my personal opinion, I wish we would retire the term Patriots, retire the term Legends, or that was legendary, man, and GOAT. There's like sports discussions all the time where this dude's a legend, or is this dude going to be the greatest of all time? And let's just slow stuff down. Let's just take stuff in the moment. Not everybody has to be compared to Michael Jordan or Tom Brady, or like, not everybody's a legend. There's just people. There's just a lot of just people. And when it comes to the whole Patriots thing, like, they were given that title, I'm going to say. And how many of us, we may want to call ourselves Patriots, but what have we done to that level that they gave up and such?
I would say, as far as Patriots, obviously the football team takes a lot, but they took the name because of these people. But then, like, personal level, you and I, we're not signing the Declaration of Independence. Like, it's already been done, so we can never do that again. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we never have to do that again. But like, being a Patriot, I feel like, is a smaller scale right now, where you have that love of country. You might not love everything about what the country is doing and where it's going politically and all that stuff, but you still support it. Like, you're waving the flag, thanking veterans, doing your civic duty where you're. And
I get that.
I mean, yes, comparatively, such a small scale, but like, if you see somebody disrespecting the flag, burning the flag, or stomping on it, trampling on it, you don't just sit by and do nothing. Like, at least go up and talk to them. Hey, what are you doing? I found myself watching in the Olympics how the Olympians treated the flag, because, they drape it over them and stuff, just making sure that they were, like, not letting the flag touch the ground and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, like, I learned flag etiquette, so that stuff matters to me. I say all this and I don't have my flag up. Our flag, I had to buy a new one because it got some high winds and tethered up. But yeah, so it's just, I mean, it's a smaller scale, but it's like being involved, doing your civic duties. Like JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And right now, our country's not demanding you to put your life on the line, you know. But you can still have that level of patriotism where it's like, if my country were to call on me, I'm ready. And then right now, I feel like the political battle is probably the one that is most demanding yet not answered, because we're not really asking average men to just go off to war. We're needing people to combat the future of where this country's going. You know, we got a socialist in New York that's elected. I mean, the people in New York voted for him and picked him and everything. And that, I mean, like, sitting in Iowa, it's easy to be like, well, that's on New York. But, like, socialism does not stay stagnant. Like, it spreads. Mm-hmm. And then somebody guts up that's a socialist and goes, I want more for me. And then it turns into communism. And like, historically, that's how it's worked. So I feel like in America, we're at this point where it's pivoting. You either stand against that, or you just sit back and let that take over, and then you do lose your country. So, like, your patriotism is dead. Like, socialism, they say it's all for that country and for the other people, but, like, it strikes me that, like, countries that are very socialistic and then countries that are communist are some of the least patriotic, like, for their country. And it's because it's like, dude, our country sucks. Like, oppressed. Yeah, it's like, I work 17 hours a day and make $2, you know. But I think that's more of where we're at now. Do I think people are going to slap anybody with the GOAT or legend title because they're going to a PTA meeting? No. I mean, you're just doing your duty.
You got these videos, man, and they all have, not all, I'm sorry, not trying to generalize, but they'll have that song about this is how legends are made on it, and, like, the dude's changing a tire on his truck. Like,
dude,
I feel like we throw around titles so much, and then we water down the meaning of it. Like, well, I'd be willing to call a soldier a patriot. Like, he's fighting, he's doing stuff. I mean, and maybe the top 1% of people that are very active with stuff, but, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people get called patriots, and patriotism, I think, is different than being called a patriot.
Patriotism is the act of being a patriot. It's just right now we're at a time where our country is not, that level of patriotism can be, like, it's not a high call. It's just doing the little daily things. And I think of that, and I think of, like, there's a lot of stuff. Like, being a dad. Being a dad is a high call. However, it's not show up for the big things and then, oh my goodness, he was a great dad. No, it's like you were there on the little things every day. Mm-hmm. I saw this clip. I'm sorry, man. I go back to, like, clips and stuff, but I saw a clip where this guy, he's probably like 40, and he's got his little baseball mitt tucked under his arm, and he's tossing the ball up, and he's like, sitting with my dad in his truck, not realizing at the time these were going to be core memories. Mm-hmm. And it's like, those are the things you think about when you think about your parents, and you think about, yeah, my dad was a good dad, dude. He was always there. You know, you don't think about, like, I don't know. Well, my dad was never there, but he showed up at my graduation. It's like, yeah, you got to show up and be there. But I don't know. Like, I feel like the call right now, the demand that our country is putting on the average person isn't, hey, strap up and go over across the seas right now. I think it's a whisper right now, and it's be more involved. Like, stand up, and then the little things, the PTAs, help your state go in the right direction, and then get more involved, you know. But I don't know. I guess that's what I'm feeling like is more of what I need to do. Do your jury duty. Sidebar, dude. So I didn't get jury duty. I didn't get selected. But
he failed the test.
Yeah, they didn't even call me. They're listening to the podcast. But they, one of our listeners sent me something and was like, "Oh, look at this, bud." There's and it was a call. Like they got it. They didn't get selected yet, but they got that slip, and I'm like, yeah. But like little thing, the daily stuff is what counts, and that's one thing that I'm learning, and trying to make those adjustments, and it takes a while because you got to break the habit that you have that is preventing you from doing that, and obviously the greatest nation or the greatest generation was 1940s, where these kids are lying about their age so they can go fight in the country's war, the World War II kids. And it's like, yeah, I don't have that demand. And a lot of that is because they did something great for our country to where we could enjoy the benefits of that. And kind of like these guys, they put their lives on the line, literally and metaphorically, but so their level of patriotism, yes. And I think the generations that followed understood and respected that. So their level of patriotism was there. Like, I'm willing to do what they did because this is how I got my country. Now they've turned the narrative and they're saying, the woke generation, it's like, if you're white and you're a male, you oppress people and you should be ashamed. And then how our country started, we should be ashamed. And it's like, no, we should be thankful for what these men did and the willing sacrifices that they made. Did our country do everything right and perfect? No, they're still human. So humans are going to do things that are not always right. And then the thing is that's when your patriotism needs to step up a level and correct that course. If that makes any sense.
Oh, I get it, because I just feel like patriotism is something you're striving for, to be a patriot. Like, I just think it's watered down to these men were doing some great things and being very involved and very active, and then also putting their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors on the line. And I just don't feel like it's at the level today. There. I feel like that should be excluded for certain people instead of all these titles getting thrown around.
Well, I wouldn't say every American is a patriot. I would not say that.
No, not even close. No.
It actually is surprising to me that people live here and hate this country. Like, there's things that I'm not saying our country's like got it all together and it's doing everything right, but I'm saying like where else are you gonna live? Like, comparatively, show me a better place where. And it's like, yeah, obviously, if you're an outsider looking in, like, oh, I visited this country and it was so great. And it's like, you were also there as a visitor. Go get a job there. Go work there, pay their taxes, figure out what their life is like and their hospital care. Like, everybody talks about how great Canada is. And I'm like, I know Canadians that are like, dude, our country sucks. Like, I just, and it's like, there's things that I don't agree with that our country has done, and some of the directions. Like, I clearly don't agree with New York, but it's not going to cause me to leave America and badmouth America. Like, as crazy as New York is, they have the freedom to be that crazy, and I don't think we understand how fragile that is, because when you get socialism in there, you're trading that freedom for selfish promises that, I'm sorry, I just don't trust politicians at all to be like, oh, I'm going to vote on you because you said you were going to do this and I believe you. And I don't believe you.
Yeah, I mean, he's only been in office for a month, and now they're already going into the rainy day fund. I think he's bringing up taxes and then something else as well. It just came out this past week.
Yeah, I don't mean to bash on New York, but I just that baffles me. I cannot believe that. And then having that, like, the reality of, like, that's, I think it's a spit in the face of any patriot or whatever you want to call it. Like, anybody who's ever sacrificed anything for this country, I feel like it's a spit in their face to throw open socialist in there. And, like, I know this is not what our show is about right now, but like, you know what I mean? But then I think about it, like, I guess that's that freedom. You know, they made a choice, and it's kind of, I don't know, like, maybe that's putting more of a, I'm realizing I need to do more, step up more, because I don't want Iowa to be like that. And Iowa, somehow people live here and they go, we want to be the California, we want to be New York. And I'm like, I don't. Like, we don't have what New York has. We don't need what New York needs. So you want that, you can move, you know, but
that's why I don't like the whole importing people from other states necessarily, because just like you see with, like, illegal immigration and stuff, people don't, like, assimilate. They want to bring whatever they had from where they came from and bring it here. So, like, people from California, they'll bring their views and stuff here and then still would vote for the Gavin Newsoms of Iowa rather than coming to our state and making Iowa more Iowa than California.
And I would say there's pros and cons to it. You know, it's kind of what makes America America, is, like, the Irish came over here because a lot of it had to, the hope of a new life, but, like, they've influenced our country. The people from Latin America have come to our country and they've influenced our country. Like, there's a lot of influence in our country to where we are, like, this melting pot where, like, I've seen videos of people from Britain and they're like, oh, Americans don't travel, I can't believe that. But it's literally like, you get in your car and you go, like, 2 hours in any direction, you're probably going to be in a different culture. Like, I think Iowa to Minnesota is, like, it's different. We're the same because we're in the Midwest, but it's different because Minnesota people don't think like Iowans. Like, their accents even, you know. Oh, yeah, you betcha, you know. And it's just, like, that's the difference of America compared to, like, in the European Union, you'll have that, but it's literally individual countries. So it's, do I like people from California coming to Iowa and trying to be like, let's make it little California? No, but if you're going to bring some opportunity for growth to help things, bring in businesses and stuff, like, I'm not against that, but don't change what is the heart and soul of Iowa.
That's the other thing that I have an issue with, too. Like, I mean, if they have their small business, whatever, but, like, why are we bringing these also big corporations in, these big businesses to build these big data centers for money, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that, and it's like, how much do you need in Iowa before you keep bringing people in? You're going to change Iowa and we're going to go back to being blue.
Well, here's the thing I'm going to say about the data centers, because that is a huge infrastructure coming to Iowa, Midwest. Basically, data centers are now just warehouses for data. Mm-hmm. And they like the fact that they're able to come to fly over country, because that's how they look at it, and the land is cheap. They can buy a whole bunch of land, store things, but what I don't like about that, obviously it creates jobs, even just 6 months at a time, construction jobs or whatever. But what I don't like is the immediate impact as far as, like, the cost of land goes crazy. There's a data center that caused, it's in a small town. It's not small, it's a growing town. And it caused a small town that is, I would guess, call it a suburb of that town. It caused all their stuff to and it's like, end of the day, dude, you're still a small town. Like, your property value should not be that high. But they raised it because the demand in the main town became so large, because they thought, oh, more of these data centers are going to move here and compete, and we're going to be the next data hub. And it's like, no, that's not really the case. And then a lot of people, if you ask them, they don't want to live next to a data center. And I don't blame them. I mean, it's constant 24-hour power being used, and
the construction
lights and
nonstop for how many years now? It's been a decade, probably close to it.
Yeah, well, I think might have been 12 years now for the one in A-Town, but the other one that's in a smaller town, they only have the one building up, and they're finishing that up now, but they're supposed to be building like 10 more buildings. And the only good thing about theirs is there's nothing around. There's cornfields. But as a result of that one, everything around that in the surrounding towns, even because people know that they don't want to live near the data hall or data center, but that's might be where they work. So this town is like, we're going to jack up our prices, and it's, I don't know. But with that, they also bring more wage per hour. If you get on at one of these data center jobs, not that they're like huge demand for people to be in there, but they pay pretty good job. I think security guards making at least $25 an hour. But if you're one of the techs that has to change out the servers and stuff, you're making a decent living. And it's like, in these small towns, was that really an option before? So it causes some growth. It brings population. At the same time, it brings problems too. It's kind of, that's why I think being involved, like the patriotic duty, would be, are you involved in the PTA meetings or the local neighborhood? I think of when they brought in that women shelter. Yeah. Some of that is already decided, but
it doesn't matter what you say when you go to it,
But it's like, are you doing your active part? Because I think of the Bible where it talks about like, if you're faithful in the little that you're given, then you're going to get more. So if our country can't rely on you for the little day-to-day stuff, being a patriot that way, what makes you think you're just going to rise up and, I'll leave everything I have here, my safety, security, stability, my family, and I'll go fight a war foreignly, and it's like, but I'm not going to go to the PTA meeting? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's doing those little things. I'll respect our country and obey the orders that I'm given, but I'm not going to wave a flag when I'm at home. I remember the first time I put a flag up during like that tense moment in our country where it was like being a patriot was almost like highly frowned upon. I'm like, dude, I'm a white male waving a flag. Like, that puts a mark on you. But now it's kind of changed back the other way where it's like, yeah, it's all right. You want to wave a flag, wave a flag. And I was like, I sat there for a minute and I was like, why am I even having this internal conflict? Just, I live in America. I shouldn't even feel bad about that, Mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't explain it, but that's just kind of, I think the level of patriotism, obviously they're starting, but I think in their day it was 3 different people. The loyalists, which is like, we have to stay true to the king. That's who's giving us all this money. And then it's, no, dude, he's treating us like garbage. Like, let's break off. These are patriots. And then there's people in the middle that are like, I'll see which side I need to join. And that's kind of how our country is. Like, America's a terrible place. And no, dude, like, America's great and we need to stand up for it. And then there's people in the middle that are like, they didn't tell me which side to pick in school. So, Yeah. And it's, I mean, you have 3 different groups of people all the time where there's always opposed to it, for it, in the middle, waiting to be led. And most of the people are in the middle. So then if you're doing your active civil duty stuff, you're able to have conversations with these people and hopefully get some to go to your side. And if you're against it, you're already out there propagating and sending out text messages and just talking bad about America, sitting in the middle of interstates and trying to protest.
Glue your hands to the floor. All right, let's jump.
Keep going, because this is legendary, dude.
Yeah. So about 20% of the American population during the American Revolutionary War were loyalists. Number 3, when the Congress were declared traitors by the royal decree, they responded by issuing the Declaration of Independence. Number 4, the Committee of Five, appointed by the Second Continental Congress, drafted what became known as America's Declaration of Independence. The members of the Committee of Five were Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Roger Sherman, Robert Livingston, and Benjamin Franklin. Number 5, the signers of the Declaration of Independence had various occupations. 24 were lawyers, 11 were merchants, 9 were farmers and plantation owners. And number 6, during the Revolutionary War, 4 signers were captured by British. That would be George Walton, Thomas Hayward Jr., Arthur Middleton, and Edward Rutledge. All 4 were eventually released. So many of the signers would be affected by the choice to write the Declaration of Independence. As we heard, men were captured, their livelihoods were destroyed, their wealth was taken, and their health declined. Even one of the stories had one of the gentlemen even told Washington to blow up his house and his land because that's where they were, the British troops and stuff were gathering, so it just destroyed all that he had. Many lived years after this and were appointed to positions of importance as well. So, let's jump on to the grievances that these men had with the King of Great Britain. As I read these, do any apply to today? And also, would any of these brave men have taken what us Americans have freely given up?
So, side note. I feel like if you have to put that you're great in the country's name, like Great Britain, are you really that great?
Well, that brings me back to the Patriot conversation. I'm Jim Bob Lee, and I'm a Patriot. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think most people who are Patriot look at themselves as patriots. They would say they're patriotic. And most people think that waving a flag's nothing. That's just what we do. Like, out of respect for our country and those that have given for our country. Like, if I go to a PTA meeting, I don't think I'm some hero, you know? I just trying to do my part. And I guess I look at it also as like now, I guess the pressure that I have is the mindset that I keep having is like, if I don't do it, is anybody going to show up with the viewpoints that I have or the mindset that I have? And then number 2 is like, how many people are going to be in opposition of it? Like, that do show up. Because a lot of those meetings are, they're boring, but like nobody really goes to them. So I'm trying to think of who I just had a conversation with about this, but we were talking about something. And I said, well, yeah, it's a representation. And if they don't know what you want, they're just going to go with who's screaming the loudest. Like the kid that's quiet that, for 5 minutes have just been hit by their little sibling and then one day just decides to lose it on their sibling and hit them back, they're going to get in a lot more trouble because a little kid's screaming their head off. You would have thought they like got pushed down the stairs or something, but it's like, yeah, they just got pushed down, but because the other kid's not saying anything, not doing anything, you're just going to go with, this is what's going on. This is what happened. I don't know. That's my viewpoint. Is it's like starting to get a lot more of that. Part of it is because I'm in the union too, where it's like to change the culture, you have to be present in the day. Like I can't just hope and willy-nilly hope that life changes. Everybody magically goes the way I want them to or what I think is correct. If I'm not there, like voicing that, does that make sense?
Yeah, doing our civic duty that we're called to do. Yep.
Yeah, but side note, I don't think Great Britain is that great because I'm a patriot.
You go for it, bud. He has refused his assent to laws, and I put in parentheses here. when it refers to assent to laws. It refers to the monarch's refusal to approve or give royal consent to legislation passed by colonial assemblies. All right, so that being said, I'll restart. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right estimable, inestimable, and that word inestimable is incapable of being estimated or quantified due to its immense worth or significance. So, let me go right back. So he has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only.
A right that is very important.
Yes.
Is your representation.
Yes.
And he was, removing that.
Mm-hmm. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures, calling meetings everywhere else than where they're supposed to be, just to make it difficult. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. So just got rid of them. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Judges are even a big problem today. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for all of us for all of us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated, and abdicated means to formally renounce or give up a position of power, authority, or responsibility, often a throne or high office. So he's abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy. Perfidy means treachery, deceitfulness, or betrayal of trust, even in a deliberate and disloyal manner. So I'll start again. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. And that was all their grievances.
When you hear all those, like, the first thought I have is like, oh, we have the Bill of Rights. Like, because that obviously definitely helped draft the Bill of Rights. Like, trial by jury. I mean, just stuff like that where it's like...
imposing taxes without our consent.
Also, like, if you're a military personnel, you can't just come in my house for lodging. Like, you have to have my permission to do that. And, like, clearly it's because this is what was going on at their time. But yeah, it's like, to sum it up, it seems like he's a king that is never present until he is present. And when he is present, you wish he would just not be there.
Yeah.
So
you wish he wasn't around. You wish he'd go back. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of empty House seats and a lot of empty representatives and senators that just don't show up. And then when they do show up, you're like, I wish you wouldn't have, because now you're going to bottleneck the system. Which I feel like the way our government is set up is like, you get this bill, you get a subcommittee, and then the subcommittee like works it out. Normally it's a Democrat and Republican split. It's also volunteer base is what it sounds like. They go, anybody want to do this? And typically, if it's a Republican imposed law that they're trying to make, you'll have plenty of willing Republicans. But then they need some of the other, like, Democrats to jump in on that. And they'll negotiate and try to add things to bills. That's why, like, the bill for giving more money to school also has, like, tucked underneath it, like, let's give a bunch of money to this, and oh yeah, let's remove this. But it comes on the main headline of this good bill, but it's got all this garbage that, like, has nothing to do with that.
Work.
The main work. Yeah. And it's because they're trying to tuck stuff. All right, we'll let you do that, but add this in there to where our party will be happy and your party's already happy with the main thing. So they'll get that all ironed out, and then they'll present it to the whole house or whatever it's hitting the floor. So, and it's like, that's when all these people who normally don't show up will show up, and they'll be in opposition of it. So then this bill has already been drafted and everything. And then it hits the floor and it like comes to a bottleneck. And then people on the floor will basically like, well, let's push it back. Let's push it back and get it all these things fixed. And it's like, you weren't part of that. You weren't here, so you don't know what was going on. And it's like, that's already been taken care of. Like, this happens all the time. Like, we have meetings at work for the GC that I work for, where we have meetings, just have meetings for meeting's sakes. And it's like, people who normally don't go to the meeting will show up to one random meeting, and then they'll be like, can we change this whole thing? Can we just do this whole process? And it's like, where were you when we started this to bring that up? Like, we've already done this for this long. No, we're not changing the whole thing for you, but everybody gets their say, and yeah, we'll make that change. But like, so then this bill goes back and it gets bottlenecked, and then it's like by people who don't even have a clue because they don't show up. So it's like this king is like, oh, this guy's not doing what I want. Now that I've shown up, then we're just going to take him away. You know, either you're dead or you got to go serve in the military and kill your brother. And as they wrote, you know, and it's like, why even come over here? Like, why? And then it's like their trials and stuff were over in England, so they got to find a means to get over there. I just, reading this, like, I get frustrated.
Well,
and then I look at present day and I'm like, well, this...
We even talk about, like, percentages of people that would be for something, against something, or people that just continually ride the fence. And, you know, it's funny to me, they all lived under this. They came here to America, you know, war was going on. They wrote up the Declaration, right? And then you had people that were loyalists to the crown still.
I think a lot of those people wanted it to work out, but then there's also a portion of those people that thought, no, because I'm loyal to the king, I'm safe. And it's like, just read these grievances. You're not safe at all. The second you step out of line and just sneeze wrong, and the king doesn't like how you sneeze, then you're done. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people get that mentality of, if I just go with what's going on,
what's popular,
what's popular, then I'll be fine. And it's like, no, there's going to come a time when you have to make a clear-cut choice on what you believe is right. And if you're a Christian, that should be based on the standard of the Word of God. And if you're not a Christian, your moral compass, you got to find what that's rooted in. Because you can't just go with the popularity, because that'll left, right, and drive a person crazy. And you are not a complete person because you're jumping so far back and forth. I don't know. That sounds exhausting to me. Whereas if you're fixed, and this is what I believe, this is what we should do, and these are clearly documented. These men were like, this is how a government should run. This is how our current government is running us. And they're not lining up. So then, sorry, England, you're going to have to break up, you know? But, I don't know. I think people think, yes, you're in the majority because there's the percentage of I'm against, like, I'm a loyalist. And then there's a percentage of I'm a patriot. And then there's this, well, I'm just going to be in the middle and see which side wins. But in a conflict like that, there's no neutral. You have to pick a side.
Yeah.
And I think that's, most people do not understand that's the world we're living in. Like, there's decisions where you cannot remain neutral. I think even Switzerland joined a side there for a while, you know. World War I, they're neutral. World War II, they're neutral. It wasn't until like, I don't even remember what year that was, but everybody's like, yeah, Switzerland's siding with this. And I was like, Switzerland, like the neutral country that just holds everybody's money, is actually picking a side? Like, there's no neutral, man.
No.
But
and then we'll just get the last part done here. So the ending to the Declaration of Independence is, "Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and monogamy, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war and peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." And that's the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
could you imagine the representatives of America doing anything like that today?
No, we can't even get the say back pass, so no. And it's being held up by Mitch McConnell, John Thune. Yeah. What the Americans want, we can't get it. So no, I don't think the people in Washington would have the stones to do anything like this. No.
It's crazy.
But I'm glad they did.
Yeah. Yep. Like-minded, but troubled times bring that. Yep. So
it's the saying.
Hard times bring hard men bring easy times bring soft men. Yep. Soft men bring hard times.
Yep.
It's just a vicious cycle.
It is.
That has magically, I won't say magically, because it has taken actual patriots who rise up and do their stuff to prolong and stay that hamster wheel. So, I don't know. I think we got to get some people that will stand up to keep America what America is.
I get so frustrated because I know everybody's not RJ Cole, not everybody thinks like me, but it's just there's so many options for people that you can elect. Like, it doesn't have to be the same people over and over and over again until they're 95. Like, there are different people out there. Just because they're an incumbent and they've been in there and it's easy because you can just check their name, you know who they are, good or bad, you just know who they are. Like, there's so many millions of people out there that are capable of doing a job. And yet we still want to vote in the same people.
Part of the problem is the people that are capable of doing a better job than what we have aren't running. And that's a real problem, because millions of dollars to campaign, like, that's ridiculous.
Yes. But we could even look at my favorite
Old man.
senator, who's never going to be coming on the show because I just keep pounding this over and over again. But we have Charles Grassley, he's in his 90s, correct?
I don't know.
I'd have to double check. I believe he's in his 90s. And we still vote him in. He had somebody else opposing him who's Republican. I believe his name was Jim Carlin, correct?
I believe that was his
that was his name. Didn't even really get a shot. I did too. Because we don't need a 90-some-year-old senator.
Well, and honestly, he'd been there my whole life. I mean, he's been there your whole life.
Yes.
Until Trump's first
my dad probably would have been like 10 when this dude got elected, man.
Like, Trump's first term is the only time I've heard him actually do something. It's just an office that they don't even go to half the time. Like, that's the frustrating thing. And it's like, to oppose him, people are going to vote for him because they're like, he's not that bad. But it's like I get, we've had these conversations. We even had one today where it's like, we want Iowa to stay Iowa, but I don't want Iowa from 1846 to be what Iowa, because that's not what we have.
Right.
We're going to have to keep up with the nation and the other surrounding states to offer, like, if Iowa were to be like, our minimum wage is $2.50, like, you can't live on that. Well, that's how it was back in 1846. I mean, it was probably far less than that, but it was like, you have to stay up with the current nation and the current states around you. Otherwise, people are going to mass exodus, and they're going to go to other states because there's better living. So I get that you need to stay up with the times, but at the same time, hold to the values and stuff that make Iowa Iowa. Doesn't mean you have to reelect the same guy over and over just because he hasn't changed anything. But it's like, he hasn't changed anything for the good or the bad. So that's almost worse than if, like, we got somebody in there and they sucked. You know, in my opinion, like, somebody just filling the chair, which is already limited on how many federal representatives we have. So it's like, his civic duty should be stepped down unless somebody else do it.
Decades ago.
Yes. And like, these people who signed this Declaration of Independence, like, I think of George Washington, then tried to get him to be president, basically a new king, and he's like, no. Like, he refused that because, like, I'm not a monarch. That's what we just fought against. That's not what we are as Americans. And it's like, but apparently as an Iowan, just keep this guy in there. As long as he's got a pulse, let's send him.
Governors, I mean, was it Branstad's the longest serving governor? Yeah.
There's only been 3 in my lifetime, I think, governors. Maybe 4 of our state. Branstad,
Vilsack,
Reynolds, and then the one guy,
Chet Culver,
who was only 1 term, and he did a lot of change. I
was still younger, and I
wouldn't agree with a lot of his change, but
no, because even we have Joni Ernst too, and it's just like, other than her "Let's Make 'Em Squeal" ad, I don't think she's been positive either. Like, I don't know, man.
But I think
she's finally stepping down, though.
I feel like America has this, maybe it's education, where you almost have to be a special person to be into politics.
Almost like a lawyer or something. Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at what these guys were. You said, 24 of them were lawyers, but 11 were merchants. 9 of them were farmers or plantation owners. Like, just normal people. Obviously, you need 24 to be like, this is actually against the law that they're doing to us. And it's like, you need lawyers. You need people that are versed in the law. But, like, I can educate myself in the law of our lands. Doesn't mean I have to be a lawyer. You know, you see all these... I I don't like these videos most of the time, but like you'll see videos where it's like somebody's recording a traffic stop, and half of them are going to law school is what it seems like, but the police is doing something unlawful. And it's like, I get the point that they're making as far as the guy videoing it, but, and I'm not saying every cop is pure as, you know, the winter snow, but by and large, if you comply, it's a normal routine traffic stop. Now, there are going to be some police officers that just...
There's always exceptions.
Yes. So, but there's people who record and it's like, no, like you're the one in the wrong on this video even. And like, I love there's a lawyer that he'll like watch these and then he'll post the video and then he'll take the video down and it's him. And he's like, actually, this person was in the wrong or this person was in the right. And I love it because it's, this is what our law says. And then he'll say basically like, well, the person in this video escalated this situation far more than what it should have. So the police officer was well within his rights. And I mean, I love it because he takes the neutral stance and he's just educating people. But I should do my due diligence and know the laws because I don't know the laws of our land. You know, people could do stuff and I'd be like, I think that's legal. I mean, the military shows up at my house and asks me to do this and I comply. Like, did I just, you know, help with like war crimes or, you know, whatever. Like, I don't know any of that stuff, dude. So it's like to educate myself on that is going to make me a better, well-rounded person. And I feel like the colonists, that was more of their, the norm was like, I know the laws of this land and I can tell you that king is not doing things right by us. So they were all on the same agreement. Whereas like, we're like, does he have to show up? Does he have to stay there every time? And I'm like, what is he doing? Like, if you're a representative and you're not in your seat every time there's a meeting called, what are you doing? Because maybe I'm ignorant here, but I think if I represented Iowa and I was in D.C., I feel like I would still be in Iowa. And I would come to the meeting like maybe the week of and be there. But I feel like I would spend most of my time in Iowa. Like, is that crazy? Am I crazy?
No, with how much time they get off, like half a year, yeah. No, I'd much rather be home.
Yeah. I don't get it, man.
Instead of with all those nasty people. But anyways, let's just jump into the wild card, shall we? Brought to you by...
We have no sponsors.
Our one and favorite listener. No, I'm just kidding. But we have a listener that throws a lot of content our way, and we are thankful for you. And this week is no different. So the question is, what is your favorite and what's the weirdest Winter Olympic sport you've watched? Hockey has to be in your top 3. I'm going to reject that part wholeheartedly because you're telling me I have to.
Since your last week comment, I'll let you go first.
The last week comment was
you said I need to start doing the wild card first. Oh. So go ahead, give us your 3 and then the weirdest.
Number 1, short track speed skating. Always love watching Apollo Anton Ono.
I miss that guy.
It's crazy. Those little tracks and the blades, man.
The wipeouts are pretty intense.
You got to slide and have your feet up in the air so you don't just cut somebody. Crazy, man. So the second one would be the ski slalom.
Slalom, baby.
Mm-hmm. The third one is ski aerials. And I had to go through like all these different jumping ones just to make sure I had the right one. But this is the one where like they have to go put the arms up and then do like the
flips and spins.
And it's like really high up there.
It's like synchronizing diving almost, but winter and it hurts a lot more if you mess up.
Yeah. Kind of.
Because they judge you like, I think those judges get in the slow-mo too, so they can see like if you blink your eyes and stuff.
I'm sure.
Pretty intense.
Yeah.
I would hate to do that.
And the weirdest sport is luge doubles. Especially the males, because there's no way, shape, or form I'm going to lay on another dude for my country. I do not love my country enough to be doing that.
You're not a patriot, sir.
It is pretty gay to me. Fred, And this is my show, and I stand by it. Fred, you go for it.
Weirdest is definitely the double luge because of all the reasons above. So, my favorite, I love the snowboard half pipe and the ski half pipe. Those are by far my favorite. I was that generation where the X Games really became really cool, and that's the stuff that, like, if you growing up, I think slalom was like, I'm gonna ski and I'm gonna slalom. Like that's the ideal. But like as soon as snowboarding really became cool, everybody's like, we're gonna half pipe. Like I've never been on a half pipe, and then whenever they brought skiing into it, where it's like, yeah, you guys just made skiing cool again, you know. But those are my favorite. And then obviously, yes, hockey is fun to watch. I think from a talent perspective, even the girls' hockey this year was really fun to watch. I love that America got gold and beat Canada. As far as the women, hopefully the men do the same thing. But like the talent level in the men's is just, women play a little bit different. There's not as much fighting, which was nice to introduce my children to. But then I was telling the story about like the last time Canada and America played, like the Canadians booed the national anthem. So then like in the first minute and a half, there's 3 fights started by Americans. So don't boo our national anthem. Clearly we are willing to do whatever it takes to represent, and you better respect our country.
Some of us, because we've also seen
some of us will not double luge, because I would not double luge.
Or will represent the Communist Chinese Party instead of the nation we grew up.
Hey, that was 23 million. 23 million. Dude,
my
daughters have no respect for that lady either. And we're like, so we try to, like, hey, if these people really do fall, they really get hurt bad. But like my kids were like I hope she doesn't get hurt, but I'd be all right if she fell. And I'm like, I mean, I hope her form just sucks. Like, I hope America does better. But yeah, no respect.
Yeah. Don't break a leg out there.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, dude, there was totally something else I was going to bring up too. Well, that's the beauty of live video. Can't stop now. So
love it.
We will finish up the show. Thank you for once again tuning into This Is the Day Show. Don't forget to stand.
Thank you.